All right, guys, welcome to Carioti Podcast. This is episode 2. Our guest for today is my longtime coach, Eddy Kaliboti. How are you, Eddy?
I'm good. How you doing?
Very good. So, guys, reason I brought Eddy on is because in my mind, I probably haven't learned as much from anyone else, maybe even combined, as I have from Eddy as a coach and as a mentor in both jiu-jitsu, boxing, kickboxing, life, you name it. So I wanted to bring Eddy on today to get him to share his story with us and for us to understand a bit more about what's behind the man as opposed to just always the technique. So Eddy, I wanted to start by rewinding back to the beginning and see if you could tell us how you got into your first martial art, where you're from and how it all evolved.
Yeah, it started back in Tanzania, where I'm from, as a young boy, growing up. But, I used to play soccer. I'm talking about 6, 7 years old.
Forget that.
Yes. So, that was the sport that was, there for everyone. And I was a goalkeeper.
Really?
Yes. So then there used to be this kid that used to bully me all the time. All the time. He would just pick up a fight with me. Every week.
Yeah.
I was scared of him because he was a bit older than me at first. And then one day I felt like I had enough. So I talked back at him and we got into it.
Yeah.
Oh man, he beat me up pretty bad.
Yeah.
So now I went home, I was pretty beat up. And then I was sitting down and my brother came and he looked at me, he said, "Oh Eddy, what's up? You're looking funny today. What happened?" I told him what actually happened. He was like, "Okay. And you saying this kid has been bullying you?" I said, "Yeah." I said, "What are you going to do about it?" My brother at that time was a boxing coach.
Oh, really?
Yes, I had two
Already?
brothers. Yeah, two brothers. One was a martial art, one was a boxer. So this is the boxer. I was like, I know what to do. Yeah, what are you going to do? I said, "I'm going to get you to come with me. And this kid is definitely going to pick on me again.
Yeah.
And you're going to sort him out." I was like, "Okay, that's fine." And then what would happen the next day and the next day and the following week and the following month when I'm not going to be there? I was like, "No, he's not going to pick on me again." He said, "No, he will do it. Now I'll tell you what to do. You're going to come with me to a boxing gym on the premise that you don't tell any of your friends that you're going to start boxing." So I was like, "Oh, sounds like a good idea." So I went to boxing school. I was so keen. Every time, every punch I learned, I had the picture of this kid in my mind. Every combination I was doing, I was thinking about this kid. So back then, I used to go play soccer about 5-6 times a week. So I cut down to only twice. And I'll spend the rest of the time boxing. So there were a few other kids boxing at that time, but not that many. Lots of kids were playing soccer and stuff. So I just kept boxing. I was really pushing it. I boxed for about 18 months continuously. And there was like an in-house competition where I was matched with another kid my age. Okay? And I finished that kid so quickly.
Oh, really?
Yes. Because every sparring I did before that was really controlled against old, adults.
Yeah.
So I was like pushing it, but I was getting hit. I was getting used to the impact and stuff. And then when I fought this kid, it was the first time for me to just let go.
I got it.
And I dropped this kid. I couldn't believe it. I was like, "Is he kidding? Is he serious?" And he got up. I could see him a bit wobbly. We kept going. He slowed down. And then I went for the finish. And I went to talk to my brother later. I was like, "Do you think it was serious? Or it was just being a kid?" My brother was like, no, you heard him.
I'm kidding.
Yeah. So that started really giving me confidence that,
yeah, because you're young here, right? You're still pretty young here.
This thing works, yeah. So it just puts you on another platform. You start to regain that confidence that someone smashed.
I think it would have changed definitely at that young age kind of who you were and maybe kind of set you on that path from then, right? That I like this, not like that idea of martial arts and improving myself and what I've kind of become over that short time, right? And I think that's kind of fueled the next 50 odd years, hasn't it, right? Yeah. So where do we go from there after the first one?
Yeah, so it wasn't the end because that kid, when like the kid that used to bully me was still there And that was my goal.
Ah.
So I went back to soccer after I felt comfortable with my jab, my combination, my footwork. I felt I could defend myself, I could move really well. And I knew their limits, those kids that played soccer. So I went back, like, seriously, to provoke him.
Yeah.
And sure enough, he fell into my trap.
Yeah.
Oh man, it was like he ran into an ambush.
Yeah.
Seriously, we got into a fight. I knew how to move, I knew how to use my jab. I knew the setups and all them things.
Yeah.
This kid had no idea. He was a bit older than me, and I couldn't believe this kid used to bully me. I landed so many shots to the face.
Yeah.
And you know, like, you're going for the dips, going
Yeah.
for the stuff. Cut him up pretty bad. And then other kids just jumped in and broke it up. I took off.
Yeah.
I didn't stay. I ran, and they were like, what just happened here? They didn't know I was training. They didn't know I was training. I was like a ninja.
Bit out of nowhere, that one.
Yes.
And then did
I went home and told my brother. My brother was like, that's it. You're not doing it again. You're not fighting again. I said, no, I just wanted to get him. So that kid was not stupid. He came to my school about 2 weeks later.
Right.
Finished school, and coming out the gate there he was. He was like, Eddy, we're going to have to do it again.
Really?
Seriously, yeah. So where we going to go for this? He goes, no, let's go around the back. I said, no, let's do it just here. We just need 2 minutes. You will know if you win or lose. He thought he was going to beat me up again.
Yeah.
And it was even worse this time.
Yeah.
I got to move around. I got to mix up some body shots, some head shots. By the time other kids and parents jumped in, he was all messed up.
Yeah.
I didn't stay. I ran away. Okay?
Best thing you did.
Told my brother again, I kept training hard. I never went back to soccer. Now, what changed that was that after 2 months, that kid came back again with 2 of his friends. Again at school. So at that time I thought maybe I could handle the 3. But I didn't know if the others were going to jump in because I was like, maybe they're scared, a bit scared of me. No, they were not.
No.
No. The fight started, they all jumped in. And I was pinned up. I was beat up because there was like 3. I didn't know what to do.
Yeah.
So what helped me was like the mind to take off. When I realized that this is hard, I ran.
Yeah.
Ran for my life.
Yeah, man. 3 people.
They gave chase, they couldn't catch me. So then I told my brother was so frustrated. And he's like, oh, Eddy, this is not looking good. You need to go spend some more time with the other brother. That's when I went to a karate school. So you need to learn to kick and do all the things. And at that time, we used to believe, we used to see Chinese and Japanese movies.
Yeah, they beat up like 20 dudes. Yeah.
So we thought maybe there is a possibility to attain that capability.
Yeah.
So then I went and joined karate.
Man, so you did karate way earlier than I thought. So your boxing and karate were not too unsimilar to when they started, right?
Yeah.
And so were you training both simultaneously or did you hop back and forth?
When I went to karate, I did less boxing, more karate.
Got it. And how was so what was, like, I don't know how developed boxing and karate were back in those days in Tanzania. So how hard was it to find a school or a coach or?
It wasn't hard because karate was very popular, but there wasn't that many schools. The only school that was there, everyone knew where it was.
Ah, got it. So you knew where to go right away.
Absolutely.
And you had your brother, obviously, to lead you.
He was training there.
Yeah, got it. So that was already established enough for you to be able to hop right into it.
Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah.
And so, all right. So did your brother end up continuing to do it as long as you doing it throughout the next years?
We were 2 different things. He was doing his own thing. I was doing my own thing.
Got it.
He was doing it way before I jumped in. So he was already doing martial arts.
Yeah.
So he was just looking at me doing it and just helping me out. So that helped me make I made new friends. I never went back to soccer. I had no time but no desire.
Yeah.
I love martial arts. I love boxing more than soccer.
Yeah.
So I stopped going to soccer training, made new friends, and karate was more like it was a thing then.
Yeah,
it's like
man, it was.
Karate, yeah, it was
It
a
was,
thing.
man.
So we used to do karate and just hang out and train. And
Yeah.
we felt we were the toughest around.
And when does the smashing bricks photos come about? How many years later is that? When I seen all those photos of you fly kicking
That
and
was
smashing
like
stuff.
16 years later.
Oh, okay, big gap. I can never tell how old you are in those photos. That's
16 years later.
Right.
Then I got to that ability, like you start to grow very fast. Your body, your physique change, and your outlook and things. And when you look at there's that part of karate where it was like a myth.
Yeah.
Where you believed on these capabilities that we only saw in the movies. But we didn't think this is just acting. We thought, it's a reality. You can do it. So that helped us. It helped push us towards that reality. But even though we were like nowhere near it, that self-belief was so strong.
Yeah, man, it fueled, at the time, it was rampant and all schools were opening up everywhere, weren't they, back in those days?
Yes.
Especially like 70s and that, it was everywhere. As soon as it started hitting the big screen, it exploded, right?
Exactly. Chinese movies.
Did you, so obviously your boxing comes pretty handy when you find yourself in a rough situation, but was there any time in those days where you ever used kind of like more karate in a situation where you needed it and thought, oh, this works or this doesn't work or anything like that?
Yes, because when I started doing karate, I was competing a lot.
Yeah.
In karate competitions. And I was one of the lucky ones with so many wins.
Yeah.
You start to become popular.
Yeah.
People tend to know you. A lot of people that you do not know about, they know you.
Yeah.
You walk around, they recognize you. Back in the days we used to go to the movies and stuff.
Yeah.
Everyone would recognize you. So you don't get to use it that much because the teachings were so strict that you never use this on the streets.
Yeah.
Unless you really need it to defend yourself, your family. So we stuck to that code. Yeah. Everyone was so disciplined.
Yeah.
We never really chose to fight on the street. But I remember when I was like a green belt and had a few friends, we went to a disco. And then every time we went to those kind of places, we thought we were unstoppable.
Bet.
All right? So we didn't know there was a guy in there who was a soldier, but a well-trained martial artist.
Yeah.
Okay? Two of my friends somehow provoked that guy. Somehow. I don't know how it started. We never used to drink, and my friends were not drunk, so I knew it was just that we was doing deliberately to provoke the guy. They didn't know. We all didn't know that guy was a martial artist, a well-trained martial artist. So that led to a fight. It was a scuffle, but a fight. So we thought we're brothers, we'll stick together and fight. So it wasn't a corner. Okay? The two of my friends went in first, but the first one was the guy that actually started it.
Yeah.
He got taken down so fast. A combination of punches and kicks, and then he got swept. He felt like he got hit by a tsunami.
Yeah.
And then the second guy jumped in. He went forward, but he walked into some good combinations of punches and kicks, and I saw that. He was like in a slow motion.
Yeah.
It happened so fast. I was like, shit, I'm not doing this. And sure enough, he dropped that second guy. He was coming after me. So I was like, I looked to my right, there was a window.
Yeah.
But we were up on the first floor. Okay? Guess what I did? I jumped.
Jumped it. Shit. How did
I
that
jumped.
end?
No. I landed pretty badly. And I looked up. The guy was working his way down. He's coming after me. He also jumped.
Yeah.
But I took off.
Yeah.
In the darkness.
Yeah.
So that saved us all.
Yeah, no kidding.
That was one of the instances where I used martial art, but I didn't actually use it. My friend did it. I took off. Okay? And then I'll give you another example how we used to have that self-confidence. We used to love training hard and getting fit and stuff. Going for jogging early in the morning. 5 o'clock we go for a run. 8Ks and stuff. There was a route that we used to run. One morning, this guy came running past us. It was like we were standing still.
Yeah.
And we're like, no way. We're martial artists.
Yeah.
Let's catch this guy.
Yeah.
And the guy just kept disappearing in the horizon. So we're like, what? We thought we were the fittest guys around. So then, sure enough, a couple of days later, we saw that guy again. He just went past us because he used to come from behind us. We're trying to give chase. We nearly spat blood. He was just too fast.
Yeah.
So it wasn't until we found out that he was like Tanzanian best marathon runner.
Yeah, no kidding.
We were like, oh damn, we said no chance. We didn't know that, but we tried to challenge him. That's how martial art was like.
Yeah.
You know, you take those type of challenges,
Very
but
much.
not actually fighting people.
Very much. And I remember a lot of it was about how tough you were as well. When you would break stuff or have stuff broken on you. Or I remember even the Japanese, I've seen videos of the Japanese guys where they put each other through such rigorous training, and they really beat up on each other. They do sparring with no protection and stuff, and you think, Jesus, they're really trying to display or demonstrate their toughness. But God,
yeah, those
rough
were
work.
like the traditional ways.
Yeah,
a lot of stuff were set up in most traditional Japanese martial arts. They competed against the Chinese to prove who's got the best.
Yep.
So a lot of things were added on to the syllabus that did not make a lot of sense.
No.
And say, you know, like there were some stuff that were more like Shaolin.
Yeah.
Where it's like more internal stuff. Do a lot of meditation and do certain things, breaking things onto their bodies.
Correct.
So then the Japanese said we can do that as well.
Correct. And I remember a lot of it when I started, when I was a kid, was all the mind over matter stuff, was the strength of mind and spirit and stuff like that. It would get talked about a lot. Yeah. So a lot of those internal exercises were important to make sure you were, you know what I mean, you were strong internally and externally.
Yeah.
I think, that's, I wouldn't say that gets focused on as much in like current martial arts, but I think very much it was the mind, body and spirit attitude with martial arts when I started. I think the demonstrations of strength and toughness was that saying that your mind was unbreakable. There's a lot of that in it, you know what I mean, which I understand. But on the other token, like you said, a lot of unlike boxing, I don't know if you ever hear it as much in a boxing gym, but a lot of our martial arts when I got taught when I was a kid was avoiding a fight. Like I don't know if you remember I think it's Enter the Dragon, where the guy challenges Bruce Lee to the fight and Bruce Lee says, I'll fight you on the little boat. Yes. He puts the dude on the boat, lets him go.
Yes.
Yeah. It was very much that, right? And it's kind of like it speaks a lot about it in the art of war as well, about the best way to fight is to not fight at all, you know what I mean? And I think I can't say that's encouraged as much if I go to a boxing or kickboxing gym now. I think it's delved quite away from those ethics or morals or traditions that had, like, that's the things I loved about traditional martial arts. It had so much meaning, especially to the individual.
Yep.
I don't know if that's replicated in the current martial arts. You know, maybe jiu-jitsu, you know what I mean, is very much about kind of not very much about, but you see that's a bit more internal in your own, like they go to the beach, they meditate, they do yoga. But I don't know if I've ever seen it cross over for boxing or kickboxing as much. You know, it seems to be more fight and win orientated than martial arts.
Yeah. No, that's like, it just shows you the internal styles and external. There is that element onto the Eastern martial arts. They look at it differently, that yes, you have limitations when it comes to your ability to hit hard, or to run fast, or to punch fast. But you need to have the stronger mind to back that up. Yeah. So that is limited by your own ability to think deep. Yeah. So they had to build that foundation to bring that will help you as an individual to bring that out of yourself.
Yeah.
So you're going to bring the best out of yourself if you can think the deepest within yourself.
Yeah. Yeah.
So those foundations were very important, even though on the physical side, there were some stuff that did not make a lot of sense.
Yeah.
But the internal stuff, if you look at how much sense they made, they were very important.
Yeah, I believe so, and I believe a lot of it transfers. The theory is particular, but like you said, the physical stuff, it's a bit like Chinese whispers. It was one thing that, because one thing happened and then it got added to and then got added to, and because it went so long without ever really being checked, it got so convoluted by the end. You were pushing someone over with your chi kind of thing.
Yeah.
I just think it just got convoluted over time with not enough sparring or combat, where say boxing or kickboxing will always be regulated by the fact that you're sparring every week, you know if it works or not. I think martial arts just fell into that, and it's also that hysteria of being able to do a 1-inch punch and beat an opponent. I think martial arts got very caught up in its own fantasy and its own love of itself as well, you know what I mean? I think that was a bit of its downfall.
Yeah, it went on like that for a long time. But you know, if you look at people like Bruce Lee himself, he studied the traditional martial arts, but because he was very deep himself as a person, he saw things differently to what they were portrayed. He kept that respect while he was in Hong Kong, but when he went back to America, he modified stuff. That was the environment in the West. That was the mentality, that was the philosophy in the West. They grew up around boxing, kickboxing, and they looked things that way, and they talked about them that way. So he kept that internal stuff. In terms of demonstration, he was like, I can prove myself when it comes to this. But he only took part of it, not everything.
100%.
And then he taught his own way, what he believed in.
Yeah, and he's, I don't know if the quote's actually his about taking what's effective and discarding what's ineffective, but I think his style was formed a lot around, he had that challenge fight where he got challenged to a fight. He tried to use his traditional martial arts. He said it just was a mess. A lot of the times the guy was running and he was chasing the guy. He said it was not how he thought the fight was going to go out. And that's when he started this process of thinking, wait a minute, maybe there isn't just one way to fight. It's not, the style didn't work the way he thought it would at all. And he started to realize a lot of stuff he knew was actually ineffective. He said he had the epiphany when he had that first challenge fight, and he said it was just a mess. Everyone trying to do hands and chops and everything, and it just didn't work.
Yeah, but you look at the stances themselves. It's like, that's not real.
Nah, it's not really effective. But when but like you said at the time, it was it was like almost a hysteria. The senseis were viewed as like almost godly. They were like they were untouchable in a fight kind of thing. I don't know if you ever got that with your master. It was like the wow, you know what I mean?
Yeah, but you know the thing is, my master was an African American. But studied in Japan. If you look at the Japanese ways and the Chinese, the Japanese were more straightforward, was striking and kicking. You don't find that the animal style, the crane,
tiger, the mantis, and
no, that was like a fantasy world. Tried to mimic an animal in a real combat. Japanese did not really encourage a lot of that. So I never got to see a lot of that.
Got it.
But I saw a lot of meditation and stuff. That kind of discipline was there. Which is still relevant, right? Still relevant and valid.
So you went in, okay. So I guess I started with Taekwondo, and I think Taekwondo was one of the less bullcrappy kind of martial arts, because at least they competed against each other for quite some time. You know what I mean? People have been fighting against each other in Taekwondo for a while. It was just the idea that when we were doing Taekwondo, even I realized at an early age, I was like, the striking, punching side of it wasn't that developed. That's why I started boxing not long after I got my black belt in Taekwondo, because I was like, man, this just doesn't feel right. But when I remember when the coach would do like a snap kick and his pants would make that crack, those leather bands, and you just go, Jesus Christ, that's cool. And there was definitely, it was definitely easy to get completely absorbed in traditional martial arts and go that path of this, I can beat 20 guys at once. I think I wonder how much your boxing regulated you as well, though. You know what I mean? Knowing that you had your kicks, you had punches in your hands and stuff. It would have been a nice blend of the two, surely.
Yeah, boxing, first thing that it gives you is the ability to sharpshoot.
Yeah.
Using your hand, the timing, and to rely on speed and setting up. You know, when you learn a lot of traditional martial art, you hear about combinations and the ability to destroy. You know, the ability to set someone up, like use your setup, use the jab as a setup. It's not there a lot. It's like go, seek and destroy. They don't fight a lot going backwards or side on.
Yeah.
It's just straight line.
Yep.
There are some changes in sparring. They move, they take angles, but a lot of it is there. It's like straight line forward.
Yeah.
But boxing teaches you footwork.
Yeah.
It gives you a lot of independence in terms of using your natural body mechanics to be effective in combat. You could roll your shoulders, you could move your head, side step this way, fake with your foot, rotate your shoulder and move. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That fluidity was not in martial art because the stances are so deep.
Yeah.
It's all power. Yes, explosiveness and speed is there, but the game itself it's like a dance which is done differently.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, so boxing really helped a lot, especially for me, because it came first before martial arts.
Yeah,
it never goes away.
100%.
Yeah, you keep it. It's like riding a bicycle. It stays with you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I find that like you said, with the martial arts, it's a lot more rigid and it's very much kill with one strike or finish every engagement with the finishing blow that he does this and I'll do this, and the fight will be over. Where boxing's very much, I can pick you down over time. I can jab you, I can move, I can draw you to me. I can fake, I can do so many things to wear you down over time and open up the finishing shot rather than expect every engagement to end in a finishing blow, which if you boxed or did any combat, you would know doesn't happen as much as you would like it to.
Yeah.
So yeah, I feel like it has its own philosophy, boxing, you know what I mean? In terms of, I find martial arts is very much, well, back in those days was very much, the person won't know anything, they'll do this, and I'll use all my kung fu on them and they'll be dead. Where boxing's factors in, you have an experienced opponent, but it factors in the chess idea of it and the mentality of your opponent and tricking them and moving them and drawing them and pushing them and everything that's involved in fighting a skilled practitioner, you know what I mean? It has its own deep philosophy, boxing, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Which I think is kind of beautiful. But I think a lot of that, I would say, majority of that, you've kind of taught me. So where do you pick up the kind of that depth of boxing knowledge over time? Like, where did you really start getting into that?
Yeah, so then you know, over there in Tanzania, we lived life. We did not have so many opportunities. So you looking at opportunities, but most of the opportunities you don't see too far ahead in the horizon. Say, oh, this is where I'm going to be in 5 years' time. Some people had that. A lot of people did not.
Yeah.
So it's like what's available to help you make some money. You know what I mean? Put food on the table, buy some clothes and stuff. So you find yourself doing a few different things that are not related. So I went to college, and I still kept doing boxing there. Then I had to go in the army for the national service.
Yeah.
When I got there was boxing. But then you had a choice to train hard and be part of the team, or not train and do all the duties. So it's like they look after their teams, basketball, boxing. So I went back to my boxing.
Yeah, of course.
Started training hard, like harder than before, because I could not do my karate. You're not going to a karate dojo, but you got lots of skills, lots of stuff to do to work on yourself. So then I started boxing seriously, like serious.
Yeah.
Every day, 2 sessions a day.
Got it.
You know what I mean? Now, they don't train you for nothing. Because they train you to pay you. They make you fight.
Yeah.
You've got to represent them.
Yeah.
So we had smaller competitions, like small competitions, but they lead you to the biggest competition. In Tanzania, you have the games, they call the games of the armed forces.
Yeah.
You have the prisons, the police, immigration, the military itself.
Yeah.
They all have their teams. And one day those teams compete against each other. And a lot of fighters are selected to one team to join the national team. That's how you make it to the national team. So then that's what you saw in the horizon. Distant horizon. That I have to win these fights. I have to make it to these finals. And I have to make it to the national team. That's my goal.
Got it.
Yes. So then we started training really, really hard. We had good coaches, but the best coaches are in the national team.
Yeah.
With the local teams, you have coaches who used to be fighters themselves. But not every good fighter makes a good coach.
Yeah.
They teach sometimes stuff that suited their like everyone has their natural abilities, their gifts. But you can't share a gift, only to a degree.
Yeah, 100%.
Okay, so that's what a gifted fighter would do if he's not a good coach. So we ended up getting out and trying to figure out the rest ourselves. So you start to realize when you learn the truth that this guy was so gifted, he was good with head movements. To dig deep within yourself, it's like, what have I got?
Got it. And so are you watching, is there much exposure to watching boxing at the time? Like, are you watching other styles of boxing and kind of molding what you're doing off that? Or how's like your exposure to international scene at the time? And like, you know what I mean? Like whoever would be the champ at the time and who was boxing.
A bit of TV and the rest was hype.
Got it.
The hype.
The good stuff.
The good stuff. Oh, the guy's got such a good jab.
Yeah.
The guy's got a very powerful right.
Yeah.
We had people with that. If they touch you with a right cross, you're going down.
Yeah.
You had people that could land so many jabs in the round.
Yeah.
It would just get you confused.
Got it.
So we used to see those people and that hype was there.
Yeah.
And that's all we had to draw from. It's like, I need to develop my jab. I need to get my jab fast.
So a bit of guidance and a lot of enthusiasm.
Exactly.
At the time.
Yeah, but you see, we also exchanged ideas.
Yeah.
Because within ourselves, you see, we all had different things to bring to the gym. We knew that guy's good with body shots. If he catches you, man, you're in trouble.
Yeah.
So you learn from good guys. You're trying to copy and learn from each other, but listen to the coach as a guidance.
Yep.
Because the coach will take you through pad work. You know what I mean? Shadow boxing, you're just doing your own stuff. And back in our days, shadow boxing was never guided, which makes a lot of sense. Because with pad work, the person is calling the shots. If he puts you on the bag and calls the shots, they're doing what their minds commands them to do.
Yeah.
So it might be good for you, it might not be, because you might be good in other ways.
Yeah.
You need opportunity to bring that out.
Yeah.
So when you shadow boxing, it all comes out. If you can really get in the zone and think deep, you know.
Well, I read an interesting quote the other night. I'm reading Angelo Dundee's biography, and he's saying when it comes to training fighters, he teaches them how to box, but when it comes to things they do uniquely well, he doesn't touch them. So he said when it comes to Ali, when it came to head movement, he never, and his footwork, he didn't touch the way Ali did that. That was something he was naturally gifted at. He said, you don't got to improve on that. They'll develop that in their own time because it comes to them naturally. He'd develop the other things in Ali's game that wasn't strong. So he'd work on the faults. But he said when it comes to if a fighter has a natural talent, they're fast or they move well or they hit hard, he allows them to nurture that in themselves because it will develop naturally over time. I thought that was very interesting, and I think maybe it's a bit of what's going on here with you.
No, it's really good because that's a good coach.
Yeah.
A good coach and a good fighter knows their limit. I mean, limitations are limited, but you can break through them. Limitations, a lot of times, at the time you're trying to screen yourself.
Yeah.
Then they work as guidelines to help you break through. People that stop thinking deep, they don't screen themselves that deep.
Mm.
You stagnate.
Yeah.
You get stuck there. So it's only when you know, honestly, these are my limitations. Limitations, it doesn't mean you cannot go better than that. It's just where you are at that particular time. So a good coach that knows this guy is good, they screen you, they know you're good at this and that. They don't mess up with that.
Yeah.
It's like, no, I'm going to have to bring other stuff up.
Yeah. It's funny, eh? So at what point do you start kind of developing what ends up being your style? And I would say that like every coach that I've trained like with or had time with has had their own kind of style. They've seemed to like encourage me to teach, and I always found that your style always had certain aspects to it. So definitely about not getting hit and doing the hitting, always being in a good position to throw your punches, being in a great position to exit, not to receive punches, using your long range shots effectively to set up your entries, set up your exits, and trying to use your timing to find your jab a lot. Once you establish that, working off and trying to put the person in a position where they're under that constant fire of your lead hand and then having to deal with the power off it. So I always thought when I watched your style of boxing, particularly if I watched you shadow box and I sparred you once a very long time ago, you seemed to move a lot like that Ali style era where it was lots of jabs, lots of footwork, lots of angles. And I was wondering if that ended up being one of the inspirations where you picked up your style, or was just something that you did naturally?
No, Ali was also the icon back then.
Yeah, he was at your time. He was the man.
Sugar Ray was there.
Yeah.
Marvin Hagler.
Yeah.
Those fighters were there, and so like the biggest thing we always used to admire watching their fights and stuff. But also for me, because I've done martial arts and went back into boxing hard, you come out with a different kind of flavor.
Yeah, 100%.
Your body will bring something that doesn't look one way. It's like it's a mix of something and something.
Yeah.
So mentally, I wanted to be able to be effective and not take as much punishment.
Yeah.
And that was really reaffirmed later when I made it to the national team.
Yeah.
Because my country had the cultural exchange with Cuba.
Yeah.
They used to bring doctors, boxing, athletics coaches.
Yep.
And at that time at the national team, there was the boxing coach, Cuban boxing coach, that had a system, a very effective system. These guys have done a lot of trial and error. They came out with a system that was working 10 out of 10 times.
Yeah.
So he started to introduce those ways to us and the philosophies and the theories.
Got it.
So we used to train. Say, I'll give you an example, like training camps. We would train. In the morning, we'd go out for a run. When we go for a run, 5 o'clock, it's like you cannot run as a team. You have at least chase each other. So you are let off every 2 minutes or 3 minutes. So so-and-so is ahead. I need to run and get them.
Yeah.
And they also don't want to let you get to them.
Yeah.
So everyone is pushing. So psychologically, it trains you to be independent there.
They push the heavyweights first and the lighter guys fast.
No, the only difference is that the heavyweights would not rug up too much because you don't have to cut weight.
Yeah.
So you just wear a singlet, a t-shirt. But all other weights, you're wearing a couple layers.
Funny. And I remember you were saying how you used to run and practice parrying at the same time. Yeah, I'd never heard that before till you told me.
Yeah, that was a unique way of running with your hands up.
Yeah.
So you're running and keeping your hands up there and head down,
Got
chin
it.
down. It just works really well once you start doing the diagonals, because we used to do that when you're running on the way back. Like there was different ways of running. Sometimes we'd be a little bit late, and then you get told that this is your time going. We want maybe half of that time coming back.
Yeah, right.
So he would send assistants to that end of that first run. They'll mark your time, and they'll mark your time back. So you have to do more effort coming back. Push it. So the way we pushed we did the Russian interval running.
Yeah.
You put some markers, just electric posts and stuff.
Yeah.
You mark them, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. So on the way back, you sprint between them. You jog. You sprint. You jog. You sprint. You jog.
Yeah.
Okay.
Rough work.
Yes. So at least you know exactly, because it's easy when you're running back. You know you're going back.
Yeah.
And the route doesn't feel as long, so you can give it all you got.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Smart. So at this point, I'd say your training seems to become a lot more organized, a lot more serious. Yeah. And do you continue competing at this point under the program?
Absolutely. To make it to the team is because you've been competing.
Ah, true. So you just keep
you've
pushing.
gone on to the top team.
Yeah.
Now the top team itself is full of guns.
Yeah, of course.
Everyone is a gun. I tell you what, the first 2-3 weeks of the training camp, you guys meet from different areas. You're not friends. You've heard of each other. You're lucky if you meet for the second time.
Yeah.
But that first time, everyone want to make an impression.
Yeah, I was about to say.
And it's nasty.
Yeah.
It's nasty, bro. The sparring sessions are brutal.
Yeah.
You see people getting dropped every corner, everywhere. Because it's like every weight division, you've got 2 fighters. Sometimes 3.
Yeah.
But you've got 4 in reserve.
Yeah.
One waiting for that position.
Yeah.
They will be called any time, because it's like the opportunity.
Absolutely.
And those coaches were like, they felt they were in a position of power, so they're not so friendly. You know, they want you to watch and be scared. So they're using every opportunity to intimidate you.
Yeah.
I'm gonna send you home, bro.
Yeah.
Just straight hard. You know what I mean? So people are in tears. Sometimes some people are very stubborn. It's like, I don't care. Send me home.
Yeah.
So when they know they're gonna go, they want to kill everyone.
Yeah.
So
Would have been intense.
So it's like, don't bring it us. Don't bring this on us.
Yeah.
So it takes about 3 weeks, 4 weeks where you see people finishing training session with their face looking clean. Otherwise, like black eyes, cut lips.
Yeah.
All the time.
Yeah. The start would have been rough. And then does it kind of filter out and the team is left and then you guys kind of start working together?
Within the team, you make friends.
Yeah.
You make friends, and then there's social activities. You do together, you start bonding. They play some games and stuff, bonding games.
Yeah.
They know it's there. They've been through that, and they don't want to keep it for so long. But it's like initiation.
Yeah, it's a bit of like a kind of dogfight at the start there, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like a fighting pit a bit.
Yeah. Everyone wants to establish their position. They want to be feared.
Yeah, well, like you said, they want the opportunity that's in front of them, right?
The opportunity is there for everyone. You both made it to the team.
Yep.
You're different weight divisions.
Mm.
So you're fighting with people your weight, 2 weights below.
Yeah.
Not too lighter. And they're not going up with really heavy guys.
Heavier either.
But also they bring in sparring partners from the outside, from other teams.
Yeah.
To keep you guys busy, and there's always local competitions.
No kidding. And how, I guess at some point, your time winds up there and winds up with, I'm guessing, the military, and is it boxing at the same time? They both, when you finish the military, that's when the boxing stops for you in Tanzania?
Like I said to you, it's always looking for opportunities.
Yeah.
It's like, what opportunities have I got now? Because it's like, you're boxing you're off, but you're an amateur.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? When you make it to the national team, at least when you get to the training camp, you get paid.
Yeah.
After that, because you're training for the bigger games.
Yeah.
After those games, then you go home.
Yeah.
They will call you again whenever there's some other games for another camp.
Yeah.
So in that time, what you do?
Mm.
You know what I mean? So you keep on training, but you have to work.
Yeah, you got to make
earn a
money.
living.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so those were the up and downs. So even though I was boxing, was training hard, you never looked at at it as this gonna be my permanent. Back in the days, turning pro was the biggest thing. You have to go to the Olympics.
Got it.
But to make it to the Olympic team, the selection, the politics, there's all kind of barriers you have to go through.
Yeah, I bet.
You also have to be lucky. So you look at it, it's like, am I gonna just try this way, or just go ahead and just earn a living, and then if it happens, it happens.
Yeah.
So it's like you take the risk.
Yep.
But when you're not sure, it's like, no, I'm gonna go work.
Yeah, I got to kind of look after myself. And then so obviously, is it your work that ends up leading you out of the country in the end, or is it a choice?
Again, it's a choice. Was a choice.
Ah, okay, got it.
It was a choice because it's opportunities, it's connections, it's contacts.
Got it.
You know what I mean?
But so it's you thinking, okay, it's time for me to continue on?
Yes.
Got it. Is this something you're thinking about over the years, thinking I really want to get out there and kind of see the world, or is it just something's in front of you and you're taking the opportunity?
Both. You want to see the world, you want to take the opportunities, you want to go overseas and work and change your lifestyle.
Did you know where you wanted to go?
Yes.
Okay.
I did. I didn't go where I wanted to go. I wanted to go to America first.
Got it. Yeah, I bet.
But coming from Africa, it's like very hard to get a visa.
Yeah, I bet.
Like seriously hard, especially as a person, individual. You know, if you're a businessman, you got lots of money and stuff, easy. But you just Eddy.
A bit harder in your situation.
Yeah, the interviews are so tough.
Yeah.
They make them tough that another person would fail.
Yeah.
Then I tried that, it didn't work. Then I tried Canada. I thought I'll go to Canada and then go to the US for Canada. But it was just as tough. They're like brothers and sisters.
Yeah.
Same conditions. So I was like, okay, what's next? I had the opportunity to go to France. But I was like, I didn't speak French.
No.
So you're looking for opportunities. It's like, am I going to spend 3 years learning the language?
Yeah.
No, I'm not going to go. Maybe England? No, I'll try Australia. I already had a friend here from Tanzania.
Ah, got it.
Best friend, best friend. We grew up together.
Yeah.
From one very early age.
Yeah.
We're still friends today.
Yeah.
So he said yes. If you can't get a visa, come over.
Yeah.
That was...
Australia was a bit easier, right? So, especially back in those days, I think we were pretty open with immigration, right?
Yeah.
Got it. So what, do you remember roundabout what year you landed here?
93.
93, remember exactly. And so obviously your primary objective when you got here was obviously to find work. That was primary number one. How does it end up going back into martial arts again?
I never stopped training martial arts.
Got it. So you got here and kept going even when you're working.
My first friends, when I got here, the first thing I looked at the, what do you call those address books?
Phone books.
The phone books, yes.
Yeah.
I looked at all martial arts schools.
Yeah.
In the vicinity. I lived at Pottsmouth then.
Yeah.
So then I went visiting all martial arts schools, introduced myself, then asked to train with them. A lot of them were very welcoming. But a lot of them were surprised by my skills because I had a blend of...
Yeah, it would have been very unique.
Yes, very unique. I had the discipline, but when it came to sparring, I was doing some stuff that we're not familiar with them.
Yeah. And do you remember who, kind of where you ended up and what you ended up doing? Because I've seen so many different photos of you with different coaches or gyms, and I've always wondered, where do you end up in those next whatever years?
Martial arts schools?
Yeah.
Yeah, I went, the first one was a Balmain.
Yep.
The Japanese coach there, Watanabe. He did the Okinawa and Goju, the same style I did. He was very, very welcoming.
Yeah.
Really nice, very humble person. But I wanted to explore a bit more.
Yeah.
So I used to go train there. And then I another school at Manly. It was a Kyokushinkai school.
Yep.
Was run by Tom LeVar.
Yep.
Tom LeVar was like, this guy used to break baseball bats with his shins in those competitions they had. Yeah, so I went to his school. It was tough there because somehow they thought I'd gone there to challenge them.
Yeah.
You know, like me going to different schools, at first I was naive. I thought they would be nice because the first one was really nice.
Yeah. Yeah.
The second one was nice. The third one was very hostile.
Really?
Very hostile. Seriously. He took it the wrong way.
Yeah.
The head coach. And he just smiled at me, you know, kept a cool face. But he changed the format. We trained, we did some training, and then he set us all down. Honestly, put me in the middle, and they started throwing in one after the other of his best fighters. Sparring. I went through nearly 11 rounds.
Yeah.
And then he jumped in himself.
Really? Right.
I knew there was something not right.
Yeah.
So I was like, I have no intention to come back here. I'll fight to the end. So I was fighting to hurt people.
Yeah.
Because they were trying to catch me.
Yeah.
So even when I went against them, we went super hard. It was not the traditional Japanese code friends and stuff. No, we went killing up. We just trying to kill each other.
Yeah, it was a proper fight.
So the only thing that stopped that fight, that sparring, was because we really went against each other hard.
Yeah.
Then at the end they said, oh, we normally do not appreciate when people challenge us, but you've proved yourself. You're more than welcome to come and train with us again. I said, no, I did not challenge you. I only came to learn from you. It was not a challenge. I did not know you.
Yeah.
How can I challenge someone I do not know? I'm new here. I'm fresh from Africa.
Yeah.
I never heard of you over there. It's like, okay, you're most welcome to train with us. That's like, okay. I never went back.
No, probably a solid idea.
Yeah, so it went on. I went to a lot of different other schools. I went to a Kung Fu school. Was run by now late Randy Bennett.
Yeah.
Sifu Randy Bennett. Leichhardt was teaching Kung Fu, but he also was teaching Arnis. I'd done a lot of Arnis back home. You know, from the same karate school.
Yeah.
So he was very welcoming. This guy, when I showed up, I introduced myself to him. Then he put me in front of the class. He introduced me to the class. And he turned to me and said, Eddy, here's the class. Do whatever you want with it.
Really?
You know what I mean?
Yeah, no
Have
kidding.
fun with the boys. Do whatever you want. Teach them whatever you want to teach them.
Yeah.
You know, some school were that good.
Yeah.
So I started making lots of friends, lots of contacts.
Yeah. And did you ever, was this kind of like, I don't know at this point, how much coaching have you done, or what point do you start turning the corner and start thinking, hey, I want to do coaching?
It was through these different schools. Some students noticed something.
Yeah.
And they started ringing me up. Hey, I saw you doing this thing very well. Can you please
Got it. So it just happened by kind of organically, really.
Organically.
Yeah.
So it kept going that way. Then I went to Surrey Hills. There was a school there, Master Benny's. It was Yukito-kan school. Yeah. Run by Sensei Glenn Coxon. Such a great guy. Yeah. He's a legend. This man is the best man around. He was very welcoming. He just asked me to demonstrate what I was able to do. He was like, can you do this on the bag? He was the first person to want me to show martial arts on the bag. You know, karate is all like katas. Yeah. He had a blend of, Benny Yukita's stuff. They was more like form of kickboxing.
Yeah. Benny was, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
So, he was very impressed. He was so nice. He said, can I have you as one of my instructors here.
Got it.
So I had to go through their syllabus to grade for their syllabus.
Yeah.
So I learned their syllabus and I graded. I was already a black belt then.
Yeah.
So I graded to a black belt in their syllabus and
Yeah.
started teaching at his school.
Got it. So at this point, you've had the original black belt for a while. You
Yeah.
picked up this black belt, and then obviously got your boxing in the
Yes.
background.
Yeah.
Got it. Was there any boxing schools you found at the time, or you jumped straight into the martial arts?
No, I was always down at Woolloomooloo
Got it.
because I lived at Pottsmore.
Yeah, and there's always
So,
a lot going on there as well, right?
Always at Woolloomooloo, yeah.
A lot going on. And who was the coach there at the time? Do you remember?
Still the same coach, Paul.
Still Paul? Yeah, good. Same one
Paul,
I had
he's
when I
great.
went there, yeah.
And his brother,
Yeah.
and Marco, remember Marco?
Yeah, there you go.
They're still there. They're the great guys.
Paul's been holding it down there for a long time.
Paul's been there, man, for a long time. And Michael.
And a lot of fighters have been through there.
Oh, yeah,
A
absolutely.
lot of pros have been through there now.
Absolutely. But before that, I also trained at Rex Gym. Rex Gym was over at Potts Point.
Yeah.
You know where the post office is at?
Yep.
It wasn't the tower building. It's a block of units now.
Yeah.
There used to be a bar called Rex Hotel.
Yeah.
At the back there was a gym. Mark Pitts was in charge there.
Yeah.
Yes. So I used to go there. All the top guys used to go and spar there. Arnett was like
Yeah.
training there. Fennec, Spike Cheney,
Yeah.
Dindo. All those guys used to come and train there.
No kidding.
Yeah.
And so it's obviously martial arts is the first kind of introduction to coaching, and then at what point do you end up coaching boxing?
Okay, so what was I doing for work apart from teaching?
Question. I know at some point you do security.
Yeah, exactly.
That's
I was doing security, but I was training hard during the day and then going to work at night.
Yep.
It gets to a point where it becomes too much.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I had to decide, continue training people, because I had a lot more people making inquiries and ringing me up and wanting
Yeah.
to train. So I started taking more clients, and I stopped doing night shifts.
Yeah, start working less, which is the dream.
Yeah.
And do you remember where you first started coaching boxing out of mainly?
Woolloomooloo.
So started there. Got it.
I was down first at the Botanic Garden.
Yep.
Right at the bottom of the stairs there.
Yep.
I used to coach boxing there.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Didn't know that.
Yeah, there used to be only, at that time there wasn't many personal trainers. There was this guy from Trinidad. His name was Brian Green.
Yep.
He was such a nice guy. He's done some kung fu and was teaching there. And Michael Britton used to be a coach there as well. Top guy.
No kidding.
So I was down there as well.
And so when you go into coaching, obviously first it's an employment, second it's to be able to kind of do what you enjoy doing every day. Was there ever a choice where you chose, okay, I enjoy teaching boxing, but I don't necessarily want to spend my time being a fight coach and chasing fighters around every day? What were your intentions when you first got into coaching?
Yeah, when I first got into coaching, it was more helping out.
Yeah, yeah.
People that wanted to do stuff,
Yeah.
like get ready for fights and stuff.
Yeah.
But I'd already saying that what was happening with coaches who coached fighters and what they had to go through.
Yeah.
I wasn't willing to do that. Traveling around for sparring, going everywhere.
Yeah.
And I was like, no, this is hard for me.
Yeah.
I don't want to commit too much to that side.
Yeah, it's a completely different path. I do and don't give credit to the ones who invest their life, because sometimes there are very, very few who invest their time and efforts and have a return from it. But I think it's really a thing of passion if you're going to chase fighters in most cases. So yeah, I think if you don't get a lot out of cornering fighters, then I don't know if it's the best path for you. I think it's better to stick to the art that you enjoy teaching and working with athletes who appreciate it, where generally fighters can be prickly.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So it was mostly that.
Got it. So we're coaching boxing there, and at some point you wind up in
No, sir.
So when do you do jiu-jitsu? When does this come into it?
When I used to coach at Woolloomooloo, and then there was a guy that was living on this side, on the north side.
Yeah.
He used to go train at North Sydney.
Yeah.
So he asked me if I could go there and train him a few times. I was like, okay.
Yeah.
So started coming to North Sydney, and then Woolloomooloo has always been a problem with parking.
Yeah.
So then I figured out that North Sydney was very convenient.
Yeah.
So I started basing myself at North Sydney.
Yeah.
More. And it just went on from there.
And what's I think this is my most interesting question to ask people. What's your first introduction to jiu-jitsu? When's the first time you see it and think, geez, I want to learn this? Because you've done only stand-up martial arts since you were a kid, right?
Yeah. I was already watching the UFC, first UFC and stuff. But when I was training at North Sydney, Liam and Dylan used to come and train there.
Yeah.
So I'm talking Liam, jiu-jitsu coach.
Yeah.
He used
Liam
to come and
Resnicoff.
train, yes.
Yeah.
Liam at that time, he was training to fight.
Yes, correct.
So
He was a
Liam,
professional MMA fighter.
I used to see Liam, Marcus Flanagan, Adam Kayoum.
Got it.
You know, all of them, they used to come in there. I used to admire. One day I saw Liam pull up this choke on one of the guys. They were macking around in the ring. And then it went down to the ground. And before I knew it, the guy was tapping.
Yeah.
I was like, shit, that's so cool. And I was very impressed. So they kept seeing them coming there. And then one day, Liam asked me, say, would you have time to coach us? Me and my brother.
Got it.
Yes.
That's how it started. Yeah.
I said, sure. So then I started training him there. And then Liam was like, have you done any jiu-jitsu? Have you heard of jiu-jitsu, BJJ?
Yeah.
I said, yes, I have. You done anything? I'm sure you would have an idea. I said, yes, I do have an idea in terms like I've heard about it.
Yeah.
I've seen it. He goes, why don't you do some jiu-jitsu? I said, no, I'd love to. But at that time, I was also doing Aikido.
Yeah. No kidding.
Yes. I was doing Aikido with this great guy, at Leichhardt. His name was Grand South.
Yeah.
Grand South Sensei. Best Aikido coach ever. So I was doing that, but I had an injury. It was during the break falls.
Yes.
The guy that was supposed to throw me, he slipped and he threw me the wrong way. I hit my back hard on the mat. So my back was like bothering me. I couldn't go back to Aikido for a while. That was the time I started training.
Filled the gap, right? And were you rolling in North Sydney first, or were you already down in Gordon when you started?
They were in Gordon. So here is what happened. He kept bugging me, and like every time he asked me to talk about, make jokes and stuff. And then one day he said to me, he goes, oh, Eddie, I told the boys that you're coming. They're looking forward to meeting you.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, I'll come.
Yeah.
So then I actually went. Showed up at Gordon, the scout hall.
Yeah.
I was like different to anything else I've done.
Yeah. Did you roll for the first time then?
No.
Because everyone usually remembers their first kind of like little grappling engagement. They think, oh, I should be able to, do this. I should be able to stay on top. I should be able to defend it. It just doesn't work out.
No. I got there, the class was on, and they put a divider and they put me on the side. And then actually Dylan took me through the fundamentals.
Yeah. Yeah, Dylan started me. My very first lesson was with Dylan. He taught me how to mount, how to go to side control. He gave me the course right well before I started with Liam.
Exactly that.
Yeah, funny, eh?
So I went through all that, and then slowly started training.
And at some point, obviously, like you've never stopped coaching boxing since then, but at some point your passion seemed to turn quite significantly to jiu-jitsu, where you thought, man, this is the one for me. And you started really, like by blue belt, you were already heaps deep in it. You and me were training every time we could. We were watching, getting our hands on any techniques or content. So at some point you, I guess, dove into it pretty heavy with jiu-jitsu.
Yeah, jiu-jitsu is very addictive.
Yeah.
It's very addictive, and it's like dances you just need to play the right kind of music.
Yeah.
You'll see them get doing the moves.
Yeah.
Jiu-jitsu, there's a point where it's a bit confusing and it's like you don't know where to start and where it ends. So, and then you start to find your groove.
Yeah.
That's when addiction kicks in.
Yeah. Yeah.
When things start to make sense.
Yep. Yep.
You're able to escape a little bit to prevent this and maybe come close to catching people and maybe catching them.
Yeah, and I think one of the biggest things I probably credited you for when coming over to jiu-jitsu is typically when people have a lifelong martial art of boxing or kickboxing, when they do something new like jiu-jitsu, they grapple, they don't do so well because they're used to always being so good at their martial art. They do jiu-jitsu, they don't do well. They go to, it's not for me, or it's going to take me too long to get good at it. I don't want to start back at the bottom again. But you're always happy to dive in at the learning phase of everything. You're always happy to put yourself as the learner in any discipline, which I always found interesting. Even if I were to talk to you about fencing, you'd be more than happy to treat yourself as the beginner, I think, in everything you do. And it's amazing that at that point, after doing martial arts for so long, having the black belts, having already a coaching and a mentor role, to come back to the start again and think, I'm going to put myself back as a white belt, back under someone again. I'm going to learn this all again. You know what I mean?
I think that's the best way to learn, because mentally you have to position yourself in the right state. You don't want to feel like you know something.
Yeah.
Then it's hard to learn, because when you feel like you know something, even if you don't, you start to modify that lesson to suit your ego.
Very true. Could not be more true. Not be more true. And that, like I said, a lot of people at your point in your life fall into that pitfall, and that's why they're too scared to be vulnerable and do jiu-jitsu and not be good at it. When it takes so many years at the start, you really suck when you start jiu-jitsu for those first couple of years, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And people don't like that vulnerability when they come from such a high position in another martial art.
Yeah.
But yeah, jiu-jitsu humbles you really quick, but I don't think you would have had that process where you would have, you know what I mean? You'd have been all right from the...
Yeah, no, because I didn't have that in my mind. I wanted to learn from the coach and all the students.
Yeah.
I was bigger than most of the guys, and I was aware of that. So I was like, I'll try my best to just not be as heavy. I didn't even talk that much about my experience.
No.
Only a few. Some of them found out as we went on, but it didn't come from me.
Yep. And that was exactly what happened with you and me. So when I first rolled with you, Liam told me you'll be safe with him, even though it was a size difference. You roll with me. You took care of me super well. You were our first time I ever moved with you. You were a 4-stripe white. I was right at the start. Moved with me heaps well, and I thought, okay, great. But not only that did you help me when we rolled, but you were giving me advice, and you actually, like, not technical as much, but you were helping me along and inviting me into the role. Does that make sense? And you're making it easy for me. So you had that mindset of like a coach, but I never knew you had done anything. I didn't actually even find out you were a boxing coach till maybe a year or whatever later, when I found out it by coincidence. And then as the more I got to know you, when I started becoming a student in boxing, that's when the story kind of unraveled, and I found out there's actually quite a rich history of martial arts. But you never spoke about it, and you know what you never did at the gym? You never took a position of I know. And even when it came to, I remember if there would be arguments or people would be wrong about certain things, you wouldn't be forceful with your opinion. You'd very much let the discussion happen. This is my polite opinion, but I reserve myself to myself. You're very much like that. That's why you could never tell, right?
Yeah.
Never tell.
Yeah, I've always maintained that. And I've seen it play out in quite different situations where I remember when I used to teach at Master Benny's school, we were allocated different times because the place was full time. Yeah. There were some people that were training during the day, and we're doing classes in evenings, but there was a few coaches who were not there 4, 5, 7 days a week. I was teaching 3 days, and there was another coach teaching 3 days. And one evening I rocked up, there was one student that was really, really good. So during the class, we were just moving around and just playing like a little sparring. Yeah. He thought he was helping me.
No surprise.
Seriously. And then he thought he was there to help me, But he realized that no, he needed my help
Yeah.
because everything he was doing, I had an answer for them.
Yeah.
And what I was doing, he could not really figure out exactly what I was doing. My setups, everything I did, I was catching it.
Yeah.
Then it was like, hang on,
Yeah.
you are not new here.
Yeah.
Then the head coach heard him saying that. He goes, why? No, I thought I needed to help him. He goes, no, he will help
Yeah,
you.
he'll help you a lot.
He's your coach. I was like, oh.
You know what reminds me of a story? I remember watching we were at North Sydney PCYC, and obviously when you're there, you're the boxing coach. For those people who don't know, you do more than boxing. And I remember watching, I don't know if it was a white or blue at the time, telling you all about how jiu-jitsu works. And I'm thinking, does he know he's talking to a black belt at the moment? And I remember him just going on, and you didn't say, not even any point in the conversation, that you even did jiu-jitsu. You never even mentioned it. And the conversation ended, you thanked him for his advice and opinions and let him go on his way.
Yeah.
I was thinking, this guy doesn't know what he's just done, eh?
That guy talked about jiu-jitsu and talked about MMA and criticized jiu-jitsu people.
Yeah.
He said, yeah, they do a bit of boxing and they do a bit of jiu-jitsu. They think that's MMA. You know what I mean? It's like they have no idea. I was like, okay, where did you train?
Yeah, I remember sitting there thinking, this guy, Jesus, has no idea. But yeah, no point did you butt in, tell him about the fact that you're a black belt or anything. You're just more happy to let him just have his little...
Yeah, when people have a stage like that, you don't need to spoil it for them.
No.
It doesn't give me anything. It just adds some bad quality into my personality.
Yeah, good point. It's so funny because, like I said, the biggest downside I found to traditional martial arts was it built that ego, right?
Yeah.
And it's funny how maybe it was through your teaching or maybe it was through self-assessment that you didn't go down that path of having that big ego, you know what I mean? I know everything kind of attitude, because you've never been like that.
Yeah. You see, no one knows everything.
Yeah.
You don't want to shut those avenues to learn more stuff. The only way you can keep them open is being humble. You might not be born humble, or you might not be aware that you're humble, but try to be humble.
Yeah, man, be conscious.
Be conscious. Have that awareness. And it will help you, because people will look at you when they want to approach you. And there's something that they see.
Yeah.
You know, like you look at a person, it's like, man, are you okay? You look sick today.
Yeah.
Oh man, you look happy today.
Yeah.
If you're a mean person, people can pick that.
Yeah.
Without you opening your mouth.
Yeah.
That's not very welcoming. You don't have to say something to prove to them that you're a nice person.
I can definitely vouch for that, and I know where I can most prove that with you. You have a presence you bring to the corner, because you've cornered me for a fair few fights, and I've even cornered with you for other fighters where it's not always what you say, it's more just that feeling of having you there, and the right comments at that right time from you seem to set, every time I've had you, seem to set me on the right path. Does that make sense? You seem to put me in that right position. It makes me think that not only have you done this a fair few times before, but you're not the one that wants to impress the other people around the ring by going off with all your boxing knowledge and boxing advice. You know what I mean? You don't really need to do that.
No. I think we both have the experience that only time has given us.
Yeah.
And that is deep, because we've seen a lot, we've learned a lot.
Yeah.
Then we can apply ourselves the right way when we choose to do that way.
Yeah.
So in a situation like a fight night, it's a very important occasion.
Yeah.
So all our senses are there. We want our fighter to win. So we pick our comments to suit the moment.
Yeah.
And because we're both very calm.
Yeah.
It's easy to do that.
Yeah. And I think, so if you had to look back on a recount, the black belts you already mentioned, you got your black belt in jiu-jitsu. Recently you got your, was it 7th Dan from back in Tanzania?
6th Dan.
6th Dan. So how many years is that since your black belt? To get, how many, is it a few years per Dan, or how does it work?
There's a times when you have to do in the school. And then if you're still at school, dance and karate they're different to jiu-jitsu. Karate, you get your black belt within 5 to 7 years. Mostly it's about 5 to 7 years.
Yep.
So after that, it's supposed to be every 3 years.
Yep.
You're eligible to qualify to a Dan. It can change depending on the schools and the instructor. But then, if you still belong to it, they believe you move on with your life, open the school or do whatever.
Yes.
So everything is on merit.
Got it.
You know, you belong now.
Yeah, it makes sense.
You're at the
Makes
next
sense.
level, yeah.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but I saw something the other day that you were first Tanzanian Jiu-Jitsu black belt.
Yes.
Jesus, no one's beaten that record.
Yeah, I knew that. I stayed quiet.
Yeah.
You know, the whole time I knew about that because I'm well connected to the martial art community over there through Facebook and Instagram. When I go home, I get in touch with everyone, and I know what's happening.
Yeah.
Who's grading.
Yeah.
And there's all sorts of martial arts there, including Aikido. But Jiu-Jitsu, BJJ wasn't there.
Of course.
There is this American guys that just opened up a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu school about 3 years ago.
Yep.
So those guys, they were able to find out all the information, and somehow there's another guy that lives in America that was in touch with them. He told them about me.
Got it. Because I was about to say, it's funny how I'll never hear anything from you, and then I'll see some random article on like that one, or the one that Liam did. Remember the running with the Cubans article?
Yes.
And you just pick up these little interesting facts about you. I've known you for 10, 11 years now. Things I've never even heard before.
Yeah. So I knew that I was the first one ever Tanzanian to get to that level in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu.
Got it.
But I never even told my friends back home that this is the situation.
Yeah.
No, I just stayed quiet. I didn't think it was going to pop up. But then it popped up.
Got it. And if you had to, looking back on it, obviously I know your heart would be a lot in Jiu-Jitsu now. You've definitely been through a lot with boxing. What would you say has been the one that's most kind of influential to your character? Like, I know the traditional martial arts seem to have a big impact on who you were as a person. More that, like I said, we talked about at the start, it's more an internal quest, and you seem to picture martial arts very much for what it is for you. Does that make sense? Because you're not expressive with it. You don't always try to demonstrate what you know and what you do. Obviously, martial arts is a very internal thing for you. It gives you a certain peace or comfort or pleasure or what it is for you. But what would you say has kind of been the biggest forces in creating who you are today?
Yeah, you know, a lot of times we put those credits to the art, because martial arts and stuff, because they stand out with those codes of discipline.
Yep.
But it goes way beyond that.
Yeah.
It's your family.
Got it.
The upbringing.
Yep.
If the upbringing is in a certain way, it prepares you as a certain type of person.
Yep.
And that's what absorbs everything that comes out your way. And you know if you can handle or you can be that. So if you've got a good upbringing, it's very easy to adopt all good ways of life.
Yeah. And it's funny that whatever morals got embedded into you from your family, you seem to have kept, because I would say that you're probably one of the morally strongest people I know. I've never seen you cheat someone. I've never seen you do wrong by someone. Never seen you know what I mean? Yep. I've seen you go out of your way to be generous and kind to people. So I was always wondering how that was formed, and you're saying it's from the get-go, right?
Yeah. It's the upbringing. Because when you have it right, you don't have to sweat trying to fight against those systems, because the upbringing will determine who you are. But you have to be the right person.
Yeah.
Not bigger than who you should be.
Yep.
When the upbringing makes you bigger than who you should be, you're going to take it on to other people.
Yeah.
They're going to put you in the right place, not in a good way.
No, man, exactly right. And I think if you looked at your personality now, it would be more what a coach would try to teach a student. If I got someone who was maybe had been in trouble, like a young kid who was unruly, I would push him more to be, for that, like I said, that internal journey of martial arts, and to be confident within himself, not have to demonstrate, not have to display, not have to do all these things. It's funny how you seem to naturally embody what a coach would want a martial artist to be internally, like, you know what I mean? That's kind of, for me, the when parents come and say, I want to put my kids into martial arts, but they don't like jiu-jitsu, I'm like, put them into any martial arts, because it's a personality catalyst for them, you know what I mean? It'll teach them a lot of things beyond punches, kicks, and karate chops, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's kind of funny. I think a lot of people base, and I know Liam, I've talked to him a lot about it, who's been your coach for
Forever.
yeah, it's a long time now.
Yeah.
He talks a lot about, he believes it kind of like us, that embodiment of martial arts and what it kind of means. And I'd say you're more towards that. And because you're in an older, more mentor position, it's easier to look up towards you and think, hey man, that's the kind of direction I want to go, you know what I mean? I'd love to have a conversation with a blue belt, be a black belt, and have them have no idea, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
that would be a beautiful thing, I'd say.
So true. And sometimes parents, they make those decisions, which is their role as parents, but sometimes they don't have that flexibility. They make choices for their kids, which they should,
Yeah.
but then sometimes you can't say, no, this is not good for my kid.
Yeah.
Just expose them to it.
Yeah.
And then, if possible, ask their opinion. Kids, sometimes they know straight away, I love this.
Yeah, I was like that. Knew straight away.
Yes.
Yeah.
You know, I was at your gym today. I was waiting for you there. And there was that Chinese mother came in with the son. And the son was boxing there with Wu. She said to me, I said, how long has you been boxing for? She said, I started in January. He never liked any other sports before. He came here, he tried boxing, he loves it now.
Yeah, he does.
You know,
Kid
but
does.
if it was the parents' decision, she would have said, maybe you should do some kung fu or something.
Yeah, yeah.
No, but she exposed him to boxing and he loved it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Funny, eh?
Yeah.
I think it's a shame that we're out of time. I think one day there's going to be a part 2 to this. I'm going to go
let's do this.
a little
Let's do
in depth into this. But thank you very much for your time, Ed.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me here.
And yeah, so if you guys are listening, want to know any more information or have any questions for Eddy himself or how to meet up with him for coaching, for whether it be boxing or jiu-jitsu or anything of the like, just contact me directly and I'll hook you up. Thanks a lot, Ed.
Cool. Thanks, buddy. Cheers.